Need a motion?
I would move for approval of 16-573.
Second.
Discussion?
Go ahead.
Mr. Roloff, Mr. Davis, whoever
Sure.
wants to.
I'll start and then give the Alan maybe a little bit to fill in some of the blanks if I leave them short. Council will recall that when we reached agreement with the owners of the Buckstaff property and the bank that had foreclosed on them, that there were contributions made by the parties to get the building torn down. The slab removal would remain our responsibility, and we had planned for that. And we had some estimates put together, and we felt it would be approximately $250,000. And we went out to bid, and we received one and only one bid last week in the amount of just slightly under $500,000, significantly more than what we had anticipated. So staff has been looking at different options that might be available to get that done for a price that's more within our budget. We did not want to necessarily commit city staff to this effort because at winter time, as we all learned this weekend, things can keep our Public Works Department very busy throughout the summer. But we did have some discussions with staff about what could be done to reallocate some people, even people in other departments that could either assist Public Works with snow removal or assist in removal of the rubble that would occur from breaking up the foundation. Alan, you want to add anything to that? Anything reflected in your memo? Or
one thing that we didn't cover, or your remarks didn't cover, was the city's continuing to monitor the demolition. This is only the site has two separate lots. We're looking at creating the first buildable site by March 1st to stay on schedule. The remaining buildings won't be done until the end of March, and then we'd take out the rest of those foundations. So it's kind of a two-stage project. Take care of the foundations for the one lot, and then the second lot we would do later in the spring.
That being said, are you anticipating further costs than the costs you're already giving us for the projects?
I'm not anticipating
Or is this just the
anymore.
first part of it?
No, this would be both lots. So we'd
Okay,
be
both
all
lots.
the foundation. Just some of it would be done here January, February. The rest of it would happen April, May.
And so we're taking some out of the CIP or the state trust fund?
Yes,
We
that
would
was
borrow
that.
the money, and then part of it's that grant we received? Is that
Correct.
the 150,000, I think it was?
Yes.
Okay. And just curious, did the company that did bid, did they come back to why it was going to be so expensive compared to what we anticipated?
I don't have personal knowledge of that. I believe it was just based on the time of the year and how quickly we needed the work done. I don't know if Mr. Robbie has anything to add to that.
Yeah, our consultant that helped us put the bid package together did speak with the company that submitted the bid, and based on the amount of available working days that they expected in the months of January and February, they did factor in a lot of overtime to be able to complete the work by March 1st, even to the tune of, basically sun up to sundown, and even, maybe a little bit past sundown, and some Saturdays as well. So they knew they would have a limited number of days in the month that they would be able to work, so they were going to take advantage of every one of them that they could. Okay. So that, I think, did play a role in, kind of where the cost came in.
And it's indicated that we would use city staff to do this, whether it be Public Works or whatever. And the memo does indicate that you don't anticipate any issues related to normal, everyday operations of the city.
Yeah, what we would do, as Mr. Roloff pointed out, we've, sat down amongst several departments, and, certainly when we get a snowstorm, we're not going to be working on this site. We're going to have all of our crews out doing the plowing, but when it comes to cleanup, and, picking up a lot of the remains, so like the cul-de-sacs, the narrow streets, that's where we can start to draw on other staff from other departments, because it's primarily a loader operator and truck drivers. So I could take an operator and put them in the backhoe and have them out working on this site, and pull some truck drivers from other departments to help, with the hauling of the snow. And so I can be able to get, those couple of staff back out and working on this site. So that's where we really sat down and spent a lot of time trying to figure out how we could pool staff resources across departments, and, you know, if we have to, you know, utilizing, you know, if we've got some expertise in the utilities, you know, trying to utilize some of those staff as well.
And the budgetary number, we're comfortable with that this can be done with what we're allocating?
Yeah, from a, you know, other than staffing standpoint, you know, the only real costs are going to be if we have to rent any equipment, which we do expect we'll have to rent some equipment. Even the biggest backhoe that we have over at Streets Division, we don't feel comfortable would be capable of doing the work, so there'd be, you know, equipment rental, and that's really the only cost that we would have, that we would be incurring, is equipment rental, and then if we have to dispose of any materials, you know, any tipping fees or things like that. But by trying to focus primarily on utilizing staff that are funded through the general fund, there's not going to be any cost implications for utilizing that staff, and that's why we're trying to share all those staff.
And if there would need to be equipment rented, our staff can operate that equipment?
Yes, yes.
And just on another question, the timeline, March 1st, that's so that in case we get good news about the Bucks, we'll be ready to go on putting together, or they're putting together the arena package?
Yes.
Okay. Now, would something change if we got negative news, and we would, or the timeline is still where you want it to be, no matter what?
I suppose in theory, if we got negative news, we wouldn't have to work so quickly to get things done.
Okay.
But my expectation is we need to get this project done.
Sure. Okay.
I'd just like to ask too, so this is removing the foundation and site preparation. Does this timeframe also allow for potential remediation that might have to be done in that site prep?
We'll only be backfilling the foundations at this point. The actual remediation will be determined after we finish with the Phase 2 explorations and testing, and then DNR would have to approve some kind of environmental cap, and the prospective buyer is working on that right now. So I don't, they know they have to do it, but no plans have been actually put together to do that yet, and certainly not presented to the city at this point in time, and DNR would still have to sign off on that.
That can't be done until there's actually something that's going to go on the site.
Correct.
But we still have to prepare the site in order to get it ready to,
Regardless of what goes on it, we have to have it prepared.
And then once we do that, are there DNR grants that might be available to the city, or a
Possible,
partnership?
but the time frame is so tight that
Right.
I don't think we're gonna have much time to actually get any of those grants in and approved. I think it's just gonna be, proceed as quickly as possible. Because unfortunately, it takes some time to do the grant application, them to consider it, and then contract, and that's many months that we actually don't have in 2017, I don't think.
and there's no way to get the grant retro. We couldn't, can you apply for a grant, do the work, and possibly?
Not with the DNR at this point.
You also mentioned taking up to $10,000 from CDBG dollars. How's that affect that program?
It doesn't affect it at all. CDBG can pay tipping fees, and it doesn't trigger any other federal requirements, so that's why we thought that was a safe source of funding for tipping fees.
Okay, very good.
Any other questions, staff? Would the city clerk please take the roll?
Yansky. Stefanik.
Aye.
Heck.
Aye.
Palmieri.
Aye.
Herman.
Aye.
Allison Osby. Aye. Cummings.
Aye.
Carried 7.
I would, you need to read.
I have one new ordinance, which is ordinance 16-574. Waive bidding requirements and authorize the purchase/rental of equipment, material, supplies, and/or contractual services to assist the Department of Public Works in the performance of foundation removal and site preparation work at 1118 South Main Street, in parens, former Buckstaff Furniture Company property, close parens. Paren, staff recommends waiving the rules and adopting on a first reading, close paren.
I would ask Ms. Ubrig, do we waive the rules first, or, okay, so then I would move to waive the rules and adopt on first reading.
Second,
Second.
discussion from the public, so I'll bring it back to council. Would you please take the roll?
Yansky. Aye. Stefanik.
Aye.
Heck.
Aye.
Palmieri,
Aye.
Berman,
Aye.
Allison Osby. Aye. Cummings,
Aye.
carried 7.
I would move for approval of 16-574.
Second?
Discussion from the public. I see no one coming forward. I will bring it back to the council for discussion.
Asked and answered.
Yeah, this is the next phase of it. The whole idea is to, as things come up, if we do need to make any decision to keep things flowing along, the idea is mostly it'll be done by,
Equipment rental would be a big one. Like I said, the largest backhoe we have, we don't feel comfortable would be able to do the work, so we would need to rent a larger piece of equipment. And that is, I think, the biggest piece of the puzzle that we're going to need. But, if something were to happen, say we get a huge snowstorm and we need some extra help hauling snow, or I don't remember what else, we ran through a few scenarios as we talked about it, but, those are kind of some of the challenges that we'd be faced with in trying to meet the deadlines for the project.
How is council going to be kept up to date on said expenditures of rental or purchasing?
I believe that was written into the
I can
ordinance,
take it.
Lynn?
The ordinance does specify that the city manager will report any purchases made under the ordinance, and then,
Only at council meetings or at any time whenever those purchases or rentals are made?
I guess
I'll probably report it at every council meeting as it goes along, so you'll get at least an update every 2 weeks if we do something. This is one of those just-in-case scenarios, so we can move quickly on it, because if we waited until the next meeting, if we got notice on Wednesday, then we'd either have to have a special meeting or wait 2 weeks. The idea is, if we make a decision, we'll let you know promptly. And I've got the newsletter and everything. If there was something major big, we'd probably just let you know anyway. But no later than every other week.
Further questions of staff? If none, would you please take the roll?
Piansky,
Aye.
Stepanik,
Aye.
Aye.
Palmieri,
Aye.
Berman,
Aye.
Allison Osby.
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
carried 7.
Let's hope that Santa Claus has something in our stockings in the next couple of days related to this piece of land.
I believe the deputy mayor has a motion.
I do. I move that following the adjournment of this meeting, the council convene into closed session. The council may convene into closed session to discuss bargaining options, strategy, parameters, and terms related to the negotiation of an agreement for the sale of 1118 South Main Street, the former Buckstaff property, pursuant to Section 19.85, Parent 1, Parent E of the Wisconsin State Statutes where competitive bargaining reasons require a closed session, and pursuant to Section 19.85, Parent 1, Parent C of the Wisconsin State Statutes to discuss the performance evaluation and compensation regarding the city manager and employer over which the Common Council has jurisdiction and exercises responsibility.
Is there a second?
Second.
Please take the roll.
Piansky,
Aye.
Stepanik,
Aye.
Heck,
Aye.
Palmieri,
Aye.
Berman,
Aye.
Allison Osby.
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
carried 7.
I now need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.
The idea was to start the closed session here